Hey guys, it is Friday. Time for the end of the week wrap up. Missed you for the last 2 weeks. My fault. We got in some parts for the Barracuda. Got a 9-inch rear, all nailed up to fit. Disc brakes. Um, we had purchased this used in the sense of it wasn't, brand new. Somebody had this made for their car and then switched directions. It is a brand new unit. I just have to cut off some of the perches, add on a different perch for the leaf spring, but it's a nice disc brake 9-inch. So that'll get us a little bit of headway. Need a few more pieces, and we'll start making some progress on that Barracuda. Uh, Parts are a real issue. Spent a couple days working on the cocktail shakers for the 69 Firebird. These things are really hard to find. Used, they're 600-700 bucks a piece. These had the brackets were rotted away on the bottoms, so I had to rebuild all the brackets. But well worth the time spent to rebuild them just because they're ridiculously priced if you can find them. So I got those all repaired and ready to go, repainted. And let's go on back here and we'll take a look at the Firebird. All right, so we're making some progress on the Firebird. Pretty much got all the nose on, all the front sheet metal lined up. Got that all completed. Inner wheel houses are in, radiator support, so on. The only thing I really have left to do is the bumper, but missing quite a few pieces for it. A lot of this bumper was in pretty bad shape, pretty rotted. We were able to save some of it, but there's still some pieces that were just too far gone. So expect that phone call, Chris. uh, but been making a lot of headway. Basically, we're going to finish up the bumper in the front, and then the owner's going to take it and kind of do some of the work on himself. Uh, Quite capable of finishing up some of the things that are left, and then we'll help him out in any way we can. But that's where we're at on this. So it's moving along pretty good. I mean, had some headaches with the aftermarket wheel wells, which I have a question and a question and answer about aftermarket parts. So we'll kind of discuss those a little bit. But let's get to some of those question and answers. Got a little list here. All right. So John Becker asks, um, which is better, the 118-degree angle or 135-degree angle on sharpening drill bits? Well, John, the 135 is typically for heavy metals, rather thick. Its downfall is you really need a punch to get it started, otherwise the drill bit will walk all over because of that angle. And the 118 you use pretty much for sheet metal and thin metals. Um, I, on the other hand, am old school and was taught by an old machinist how to just take it over and put it on a grinder and grind the edge. And most of the stuff that we do is not that precise. If I need to do something really precise, I use an end mill. But as far as the drill bits go, that's the difference. I hope that answers your question. Uh, Ray Hartman asked EFI versus naturally aspirated. They both got their place. If you got a street car, EFI is nice. The idea of better fuel economy, performance staying pretty much the same all the time, and it's tunable. Most of the systems today pretty much self-learn and tune as you go, so you're not running into you know car running different under different circumstances. So this has its place. Naturally aspirated. Got a race car, an all-out race car, and you need a lot of fuel. I mean, that's kind of a way to go too. They do a lot of fuel injection with that, but they have their place. Basically, is what it comes down to. And he wanted to know what I thought were the top three technological advances um, in the last 40 to 50 years with the automotive field. Obviously, fuel injection is one of them. Um, but there's been a tremendous amount of technology change in things like tires. Um, Tires have come a long way over the last 40, 50 years. I mean, they have run flats today. I mean, we have different profiles and things. So tires would probably be the second choice of the top. Transmissions. We've gone to six speeds and 10-speed automatics, which are fantastic, make a more drivability, that type of thing. So I would say there's probably three of the simplest top top three technologies. Um, but with all the technologies, no matter how far you go with them, they still have their problems and their limitations. So I mean, we'll keep making advances as we go. Obviously, I don't feel that the electric car is one of the top um, technologies. I know that's a really controversial thing. Um, it's not my thing. Um, Simply put, here's a good example. I love my battery powered tools. Love them. Use them all the time, every day. But it's inevitable every time I pick this thing up, I'm going to change that battery before I'm finished drilling holes or whatever I happen to be doing, or I'm going to go through every battery I got. Um, Technology is not there for the batteries yet, so I just don't think the electric, and you don't get that rumble, but the I don't think the electric's there yet. So as far as the technology, I don't look at that as one of the top ones. Just for the next question, if anybody asks. Third one is from Billy Watson. Um, he wants to know about aftermarket parts. Um, Basically, from his message, he had just put some fenders on his C10. He has a 71 C10 and wanted to change to a 68 because he liked the nose a little better, and had a horrible time getting everything to line up, as well as things like switches and the wiper system he just put in. He ordered three of them and couldn't get them to work. Um, I will tell you that my feelings about aftermarket parts, after doing this for as many years as I have, um, in some cases you have no choice. That's pretty much all you can get. Uh, they're not great, not by any means. As far as sheet metal goes, if you don't have some sort of experience in manipulating metal, or patience to put them on, take them off, put them on, take them off. As I said earlier, for example, this car was mocked up with the fenders and doors and everything on to do all the body work, and it fit flawlessly. When I put the inner aprons in it, it sucked the fender up and changed the shape of the fender. I had a nightmare playing with this thing to get all the gaps nice. Now, we don't give up. We keep going. But I mean, put these fenders on and off, probably a half a dozen times. I mean, you saw what the last video looked like. The car hasn't changed much other than fenders and hood. It was a ton of work putting this together, taking it apart, putting it together, taking it apart. Those inner wheelhouses were horrible, horrible shapes. Now, you might do 20 cars and never have an issue with the inner wheelhouse and how it fits. And the next one you do, and it's a nightmare. So aftermarket parts are hit and miss. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're great, sometimes they're the worst thing you've ever used. I've had panels that were so bad I had to send them back because I couldn't get them to fit, and I'm very good at that. So aftermarket stuff's horrible. It's just the nature of the beast. Most of it is made overseas. Most of those people stamping those panels have never even seen a classic car. Don't even know what an American a '69 Firebird to the guy overseas. He may have no idea what it is. So the aftermarket parts they're not great. Uh, there is little to nothing in the electrical field as far as cars that's made in the United States anymore. It's a crying shame, but it's a fact. I have had switches, like he complains about having three switches. I've had switches that didn't work. I've had switches that I've had to take apart and fix the springs inside of them to make them work. Typically, aftermarket parts are a place to start. And it's a shame because the customer buys a brand new part and expects you to install it. He's blaming you when it doesn't fit. It's not my fault. That's the way the part came in. And it's very difficult to make somebody understand how you paid good money for something and it doesn't work. And unfortunately, that happens more often than you'd realize. So aftermarket parts, you either have to have a lot of patience or have somebody with a little bit of talent to get them to fit. So they're tough. They really are. It's just the nature of the beast. And that's what you're going to have to put up with if you're going to use that. But in the end, you got to remember that's the part that you wanted or you could afford. It's not the installer's fault. It's not the guy that you bought the part from's fault because he got it from overseas. It's just the nature of the beast. Just stay after it, guys. Makes it a little tough, but you'll get there if you work at it long enough. So I hope you guys got a little bit out of this. You have a good weekend, and we'll see you next week. We got things back on track, so look for us next Friday.